Hello everyone. I wanted to share with you how I managed to charm a beautiful French girl on our first date, despite being an insecure guy. All my life, I thought it was impossible to take someone to bed on the first date, but as you'll see, anything is possible. I hope this story can be both educational and entertaining for our channel subscribers. There's a surprise at the end. Let's start with some background. My name is Sasha. I'm a 19-year-old student. Some girls find me attractive because I've been doing professional swimming and boxing since childhood, so my body is quite appealing to them. However, as you might expect, I had zero experience with girls before this story. I had only been with 2 girls before and was a complete novice, shy about anything related to seducing women. But I knew I had to take matters into my own hands, so I started watching educational videos on the subject. So, the story takes place this fall in Glasgow. I stayed at a hotel near the city, where I noticed a pretty brunette girl from the first day. As I quickly figured out, she worked as a waitress at the hotel. First phase, approach, coming to breakfast, I also noticed that she liked me, as she constantly looked at me. I'm having breakfast and thinking, oh, it would be great to get to know her, only it's scary. A lot of people at breakfast, she's at work, there are also many co-workers, the boss. At that moment, I'm thinking, what should I do? That's right, do what's scary and uncomfortable, approach and introduce myself, even if she refuses. So I wait for her to approach the breakfast room, stand up and approach her, asking, excuse me, do you know what time lunch starts? She starts telling me, but I already know when it starts. Then, after she finishes, I abruptly ask, by the way, do you have Instagram? She looks at me surprised and doesn't know what to say. I think, well, that didn't work out and say, okay, we can talk about it later, and calmly walk away. Then I thought maybe she's much older than I thought and is over 28 years old, she's actually 23, and I'm just a kid trying to impress her. Maybe it's not allowed at work, or maybe I misread her and mistakenly assumed that she liked me. Second phase, comeback, which no one expected, it takes a week, maybe even 2. One evening, as usual, I go to wash the dishes after dinner, and suddenly a girl from the staff starts talking to me and says, you asked for the Instagram of a girl, keep it, and gives me a small piece of paper with her name written on it. I am shocked and think to myself, well, since it's already like this, I have to act. I sign up for her, invite her for coffee or wine the next day, she agrees, and we set a day. On this day, I went to a football match Ukraine, Scotland, and suddenly fell ill, maybe because we lost 0:3, so I postponed the meeting. I quickly recover, but before my return to the beginning of the school year, less than a week remains, and I begin to think, do I really need this? I'm leaving soon, and this story won't turn into something more, just regular excuses. But I realized that it's not me being so wise and wondering whether I need it or not, I'm just afraid to do something. So I decided that I have to charm her not for my pleasure, but to overcome the fear of closeness. I invite her out again, and she agrees. I understand that I need to act fast. Final phase, meeting. It was a choice between Glasgow or the town nearby where she lived. Since I lived in the hotel where she worked, I ruled out the possibility of inviting her there. Interpersonal relationships are not allowed in such jobs. So I chose the town, with the potential to come to her house later. And I was not mistaken. We meet, I kiss her on the cheek, and we go to the bar. At first, we talk about the weather and other ordinary things. When we come to the bar, I immediately say to sit next to me on the couch because it's hard to hear. I speak English at the bar, tell her about myself, what I'm interested in, what I do for a living, and so on. I am good at speaking, so the conversation goes great. Then she says, I would never have gone on a date with someone younger than me. But you're an exception, a good signal, I thought. In Instagram, I joked that I was 15 years old, and she was shocked. Nevertheless, for over an hour, I was afraid and didn't understand how to initiate physical contact with her, but time was passing. I proposed to her, let's buy alcohol at the store, and then go somewhere, you know what I mean, because the bar is about to close, there's no point in drinking here. She agreed, we made the purchase, and on the way, at 10 p.m., she suggested we have coffee or tea. I thought to myself, this coffee girl decided to have a drink at 10 p.m., and I understand that there will be sex with Sasha today. On the way, she began to suspiciously ask me if I have 5 girls at the same time in my city who don't know what I do. She also started telling me about her last boyfriend a year ago, but he cheated on her. I thought, why are you telling me this? We arrived at her place, sat on the couch, arranged the alcohol, and turned on the TV. And I sat there trembling, either from fear or cold, probably both, and I thought it was time to act. First, I hugged her, caressed each other, and then I saw her looking at me sideways and waiting for me to kiss her. I thought I was a slowpoke, and then I started kissing her. Everything went smoothly. She undressed me first, and then herself, and then she said, I don't think this is a good idea, and I replied, I think this is a wonderful idea. And I started kissing and undressing her, and everything went easily and without questions. Well, as you might have guessed, it was a beautiful evening. And now, onto the long-awaited surprise. After the trial, we started to talk more openly and sincerely about different topics, and that's when I began to guess her brother's name and so on. The thing is, even before I followed her on Instagram, she found my profile and watched my stories with her brother, who lives in Paris and is gay. She started laughing and told me the following, I showed you to my brother, and he said that if you don't sleep with him on the first date, then I will. I was obviously surprised by this and started laughing. And that's when I realized that I wasn't the one doing the seducing, but rather I was being seduced, thankfully, not by her brother. And so, with only a few days left before my flight back to Warsaw, I tried to make the most of every day, and we hugged every day and had a great time. I flew back home, and that's how our instructive and fun story ended. Conclusion, young guys, don't be afraid to take action and try new things. And even if you're scared, do it through fear. I promise the result will be worth it. My journey is just beginning, so stay tuned for more stories.